So hi everyone, thank you for having me. I just want to make a brief presentation on what I feel we need as a local program for the LA County Western Joshua Tree protections. So I'm coming to you all to ask that I think the Pearblossom Town Council could really help by joining into this fight by asking the Board of Supervisors and for what I'll present, and then also just on ongoing um, communication dialogue and help with this whole project or initiative that a lot of us here in the community are interested in. I did make this presentation to the ARTC at the last meeting, and they did make a motion to support protecting the Joshua trees by asking the county for what I'll present today. This will also give you an update on where the legislation is at in California. So this is just an interesting fact that it takes, oops, let me get this. Joshua tree to grow 1 inch. So they obviously grow very slowly. And also in 2019, scientists projected that Joshua trees would be largely gone from the national park. And the end of the century. And then even an earlier study projected that the species would be lost virtually from entirely in California at some point due to climate change. So in addition to, one of the main things is climate change that we need to help or new approaches to helping the Joshua trees. And then there's also the development component where they get, the land gets cleared for development projects. So this is a timeline of what's been going on with the Western Joshua Tree protections. In September 2020, the California Fish and Game Commission granted temporary protections via CISA to the Western Joshua Tree as a candidate species that maybe it would become an endangered species after research, etc. So since that time, it's illegal to cut down or take any fallen Joshua tree on land without a special permit from the California Fish and Game Commission. So that's been ongoing, and then their research, etc. They did their science. They came back at some point with the biologists from California that said that the tree is not endangered due to the volume and the dispersity in LA County and California, all of California actually. So in June 2022, they voted whether they would make it endangered or not, and they were on a deadlock. It was a 2-2 vote, so the protections continued and they went further. They said they would take it up again in the coming meetings. But during that time, in February 2023, the governor unveiled the Western Joshua Tree Conservation Act, which is AB 1008. And that act has some protections for the Joshua tree, but it's if you look at it closely, it's not very strong, which I'll get into next. So once the act was presented or unveiled by the governor, then the California Fish and Game Commission did take another vote, and they rejected the listing of the species as endangered. They rejected the species as endangered, but they did keep the protections until the act replaces it, so that temporarily still it still is legal to take any Joshua trees or any fallen pieces of Joshua trees or move them, etc. So then in May 2023, AB 1008 it passed the Assembly, and it's been referred to the Senate Natural Resources and Water Committee. So it's basically going through this process to California legislature to become a bill. It was at one point going to be part of the budget, but that I think they chose to go through the normal process, which thank God, because otherwise there's no real input, etc. So right now, currently in July, it's scheduled for July 10th for the Senate Natural Resources and Water Committee to read the bill and then start working on it. I don't think they make a decision at that point. but then it goes through the process. Most likely this bill is going to pass. Um, there is an opportunity I noticed from the Senate's website for this committee that there is public comments available. So I'm looking into preparing something for that, and I had to just kind of familiarize myself with maybe looking at past comments and see how it goes. I know they have written comment. I'm not sure if they have um, in-person comment or virtual comments. Another thing is, I know, just an FYI, regarding the timeline, Chris and I at the Board of Supervisors meeting when we had the CSD presentation and it was voted on, we both talked in favor of protecting the Joshua trees at that meeting in person. Chris was in person, I was remote. So we kind of gave a heads up that we're interested in that. So California AB 1008, here's some of the highlights of the bill. So it's basically a pay to take is what they call it. And the permits are as low as $300 to cut down the Joshua tree. So it goes anywhere from $300 to I think 1,000 maybe only, or maybe 1,500, based on the size of the tree or the age. So for $300, you can take one of the babies that's growing maybe up to 30 years or something. It's based on the height. Their language talks about avoid and minimize, but they really don't, it doesn't have an actual preservation requirement. So when you pay to take, you can take the trees, and as long as you avoid and minimize whatever that means in terms of what you're trying to turn out, not to make it like the whole lot or something. But there is no requirement to have like replanting or try to transplant it, etc. And it calls for a conservation plan by the end of 2024 to be created by the state and local tribes and maybe some other stakeholders. That it's questionable whether, if the bill passes in 2023 or early 2024, if from that time until there's a conservation plan, if that means there would be no conservation component, and it's just kind of like all the permits happen, etc. So there's a gray area there that I'm going to also maybe try to write to the bill writer, the person who sponsored the bill, and see if I can ask some of those questions. The good thing, it does allow for counties to create local programs. So LA County, for example, can decide that they don't want the minimum baseline that the bill provides and ask for greater protections within the county. You just can't have less protection, but you can have more, and the program allows for that. So I think that's where we can really ask the board for help to create a local program. So that's where we get to what can we do. One, I think LA County does need its own Western Joshua Tree Conservation Program, because we have our own unique needs between other like San Bernardino County or Mojave or Tehachapi, where there is other Joshua trees, other communities. Then one big part is to allow for community input so that we have a voice at the table when this program is drafted. It's not just like something that's provided to us and we don't have any input on that. So the ask is to the Board of Supervisors, we need the help of the board to direct the planning department to work on the local program and to keep it real by making us a part of it. So just reiterating again, here's the ask. We need a local Western Joshua Tree Conservation Program. Our communities want to be a part of the drafting of the local program. And number 3 is kind of questionable, but I'm hoping that with the maybe potentially being able to influence the Senate, they can make this part of it, but it's really to LA County as well. If the bill allows for it, then LA County should implement interim protections for the Western Joshua tree, similar to the current protections from CISA, while the local program is drafted. I think it would be a tragedy if LA County says, yes, we'll create a local program, and that takes 2 years to draft. And during those 2 years, the only protection is the baseline. We stand to lose a lot of Joshua trees. And the net effect is just going down, right, without an actual real plan of preservation and protection or reseeding or transplanting, without any of those approaches, then we have this time frame that could really have an accelerated destruction, really, of Joshua Tree. And that one, it's, I think, mainly more for development projects, et cetera. And we know that the desert obviously is targeted or trying to be targeted for solar and all kinds of other projects, and even just suburban expansion, et cetera. So yeah, just wanted to thank you for allowing me to present this. And if you have any questions or thoughts, I'd love to hear what you all think about protecting the Joshua trees.
That was awesome, Mario. Thank you very much. Yeah, before you hang up, don't forget to make us the host.
Otherwise,
But
Oh, yeah.
I like how you broke all that down because it makes it real simple for folks. There's a lot of people in the Antelope Valley that would probably get behind us. So this doesn't just have to be like our council or unincorporated councils. Like, there's people all over the Antelope Valley have a great passion for these trees. And I'll agree with you, you know, if we have a 2-year downtime where it's just kind of like open season, that's really the last swoop for LA County to come in and urbanize some of these areas out here where we live. And as someone who stands up for rural lifestyle, the Joshua trees are always going to give that for us. So I look at them as not only a majestic beauty, but as a partner in the way we live. So let's get these meetings happening sooner. I really would like to be involved at a very high level with this with you, and get as many high stake volunteers as we can together to pull this off quickly and get those short interim protections until we could probably think of a qualified planner to help write these protections. So
hey, Chris, FYI, your hands on the video.
Okay, there we go. I was trying to hide my ugly side. All right. But very good job, and I'm super stoked, and I would like to get this into like a high school version, maybe a junior high school version or junior high version that we could start sharing with the kids at the school as well.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to. I'll work, like, we can talk about it and collaborate, and then maybe make something like that. And then also, hopefully, when the time is right, maybe soon. It depends, obviously, the bill's moving and stuff, but the town council could also, also send a letter. So just so there's more input to the board of supervisors when that's the times when that's right.
Absolutely. Could you help us draft our letter, and I'll get one from Lake LA individual, and I'll get one from Little Rock individual too. And I'm sure we can get forward. Sweet. Awesome. Again, Mario, appreciate that. Very good.
Thank you.